Aloha, welcome back to Aina Bear Farm. We are out in our kitchen garden, which has returned to close to a jungle state again. And it's been a while since we've done a video about how we manage our kitchen garden. And so I'll give you a little bit of information in case you're new to the channel or just don't remember. But essentially, this is about a 70-foot by 55-foot space, so it's pretty decent size for a kitchen garden. And we've got rows on this side that are double rows, so each row is about 3 feet wide with a little walkway in the middle, and then primary walkways in between, because these double rows become single rows on this side of the garden, which allows us to separate the way we grow things, essentially annuals on this side and then perennials or longer lasting plants. Like you can see the pineapples in here. This is asparagus in the foreground. There's a lot of cassava back there and olena or turmeric. But what inevitably happens is that the annual side gets a lot more constant weeding and care, and then the perennial side sort of starts to return to jungle after a while. And so a couple times a year we kind of come in and reset this a little bit. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So this is kind of a little bit of a before video, and then I'll show you what it looks like after we clear things. But let me also kind of give you a little bit more up close tour of what's going on. So you can see we've got the red la'i plants all around. When we first come in the gate here, we've got our kalo or taro plants, and there's 4 different varieties in here that were planted about a year ago, and they really struggled in the drought. And so they're just coming back now. We're trying to just nurse them back to a point where we can harvest them and then spread them to a lot of other areas. You can see the perennial peanut in one of the primary walkways here. This is kind of new, and this is going to be interesting because putting perennial peanut in your annual garden is often thought of as a definitely do not do kind of rule because of the way that it spreads. However, I want it to spread, and you can see that it's starting to come into this bed, and because we need so much perennial peanut for our food forest, I consider it a crop. And I come in here, and once it roots, I'm able to dig it up and then replant it all over the food forest. So our idea here is to get the perennial peanut going in the main paths. And then we have these secondary paths between the double rows that will be cardboard and wood chips. And then there's another path down here that's already got some perennial peanut planted. We're probably going to chip that. This is Tithonia, or Mexican sunflower stalks. Chip that. Got a bunch of debris down there that we'll chip. And it'll just be alternated, like with wood chips, perennial peanut, wood chips, perennial peanut. And then over time, as the wood chips break down, they will get added to the crop rows. You can see here, double row of carrots and another double row of carrots. This one didn't germinate as proficiently as this row, but we should have a decent crop of carrots coming in this spring. And we've got some empty rows down here. There was some Ethiopian kale down here that didn't do so well, got ransacked by aphids and other bugs, which tends to happen with brassicas here quite a bit. This garden has been established for several years, but we are still definitely in the early phases of soil development and just really trying to build up the nutrients here to make it more amenable for different crops to grow. And so we're we've been experimenting, seeing what grows well now. Green beans, bush beans do well in the warmer months, and carrots seem to do pretty well. We finally got a good first good crop of okra last year. That's one of our favorites to eat. But we do still have a lot of pigeon pea, which is a lot of this stuff, These tall trees are Sesbania sespen, which are super fast growing nitrogen fixers. And this garden gets full blaze sun all the time. And so we needed some things that could provide a little bit of protection. And so what we want to do is just come and clean this up on the understory so they have these like tall, more spindly shade in the overstory that provides us a nice little dappled shade, but without getting in the way. Like this walkway is really just difficult to get through because of the pigeon pea and because of some of that Sesbania right now. So we're going to prune that up and chip that wood, add that to our paths. Another big thing we're going to do today is weed. I mean, there's a giant patch of guinea grass right in the middle of this main pathway, and so that just makes it really difficult for me to get access to everything. Here's a nice cassava, looking very healthy. As I go up a little bit, you can see, more grass here. This is the kind of stuff we want to take care of this, especially this type of grass grows via runners, and so we want to get rid of that right now before you blink your eye and it's everywhere. So we want to get it while it's still kind of manageable. Here you can see this Ethiopian kale up close, getting chewed on. We've gotten some crop out of some of it, so that's okay. This is a cover crop. Now here you can see the old okra plants, which we've just left. Let them kind of break down, decay. And then there's a cover crop here of buckwheat, mustard greens, and jack bean. And this is a really nice combination. The buckwheat is just a real quick, nice soil conditioning plant that you have to be ready to kind of deal with it, because we've put this in only like a little bit more than a month ago. It's already, full flowering, and this would be the stage, in my opinion, where it would be good to come turn this under, or just cut it all down, let it be your mulch on top. What we're going to do is cut it down, lay it on top of the soil, and then pile up grass clippings on top of that and let it break down underneath. The mustards really help with soil nematodes, just to kind of reduce their populations. And we've noticed root knot nematode here as a disease/pest issue. So we're trying to get that under control. So this is part of our plan for that. You can see the grass clippings on this bed. And if I kind of dig up under here, you can get an idea of the thickness. This is quite a bit of clippings that have broken down over time. And even though it hasn't rained in weeks, we've still got a little bit of moisture under there. And so that was very nice. The one thing you have to watch out for when you do just straight up grass clippings is sometimes it will mat quite a bit and form an almost impenetrable layer where, unless you're getting a lot of rain, it will actually shed a lot of the water, especially if you have mounded beds like this. It'll kind of shed a lot of the water to both sides. So you really want to make sure it's getting saturated and you're getting water underneath. Sometimes maybe that's just going through with a garden hoe or something, and just break it up a little bit, let the water through. We've got a really nice papaya tree going here that was just like essentially food scraps grown. Threw down some old papaya. Got a nice one, getting one that's just about ripe here. Good size, plenty of fruit on this guy, so that's good. I mentioned the asparagus, so this time of year, not much to look at, but we need to come through and just kind of clean this up, get rid of these like older brittle pieces like this, and weed that. Maybe get some more grass clippings down to suppress the weeds, and get ready for those to come back in the spring. This will probably be the first year we're harvesting off of our asparagus after having been in the ground for a few years. They're pretty substantial. Then we've got a whole lot of, oh shoot, what is this stuff called? I always forget. The peppery edible flowering plant. The name will probably come to me at random here. Pretty much a weed in Hawaii. I mean, once you get it going, it'll just take off. But it's nice. Lots of flowers, edible flowers and leaves. Got a nice little peppery type flavor to it. It's a big pigeon pea that some of the branches got taken out in one of our Kona storms. So we'll clean all this up, chip that, and then you can see more grass and weeds making their way towards the back here. And so just want to get in and clean this up. Here's a white pineapple bed. We should have plenty of pineapples coming this year. I've actually seen some of them are already flowering. In other places there's actually a flower coming in this one, but probably too low for you to see on camera. That's pretty cool. Down here is cassava, and then the olena or turmeric bed. But we need to come through. There's a lot of sun hemp in here, which is a great cover crop. It's pumping nitrogen. But we just need to get it under control so that we can actually walk through here, because when you have a garden that you can't easily access, you tend to visit it less, and then things get away from you. So that's where we're at right now. Lots going on. Kind of getting ready for our spring planting. Get some cherry tomatoes, maybe some eggplants, some peppers, and certainly the okra again. Yeah, this is like just where a lot of our common day-to-day produce comes from. So that's the before. I'll give you a little bit of an after shot, and then we'll wind this up. Okay, we got quite a bit done this weekend. So let's kind of walk you through everything we did. So we've got 1, 2, 3 of these interim rows, laid down some cardboard, and filled those up with wood chips. The wood chips are mostly from the pigeon pea that we chipped that was cleared all through here. And, that's one of our goals here, is to try to grow pretty much all of our own fertilizers. And you can see we've added the grass clippings to these 2 rows to mulch around our carrots. And it's a little hard to mulch around carrots when they're this small. You just have to be careful not to smother them. But once you get them all kind of tucked in like that, they're pretty much good to go until they're ready to be harvested, in my experience. So we've got the wood chips. This has the row of perennial peanut, another row of wood chips. Then we've got 3 blank rows here that are going to get this same cover crop that I showed you that was on a different row with the buckwheat, mustard greens, and jack beans. And not 100% sure what I'm going to grow down here, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be the okra down here. Probably grow 3 whole rows of that mixed in with a few other things just to keep it from being too monotonous and have some nice diversity. We were able to clear this path all the way to the end of the garden, and we were able to get a nice thick layer of grass clippings on top of this bed. This is what has the olena or the turmeric in it, so that'll be resting for probably another couple months before it pops back up. And we still have a ways to go. This is the cassava bed. That most of this is cover crop of pigeon pea and sun hemp, but you can also see there's some grass mixed in there. And as you get closer to the edge here, it's just very dense, thick grass. This is all piled up grass that was uprooted from the path, sitting on a piece of plastic tarp, so hopefully it doesn't reroot. And this lower section, we still have to do a lot of clearing here. This matted grass is really obnoxious to get out. It's kind of backbreaking. So we'll get to that probably next weekend. Maybe I'll make this part 1, part 2 video. This path will get the perennial peanut running all the way down, which I was hoping to get to this weekend because we've got a rainy week coming and it would be really good timing to get that in the ground. But I've also got a lot of other things I have to get in the ground, so we'll see. I'm going to try to work hard and get as much of it done as I can. We also cleared out a lot of the pigeon pea that was in this understory here, just opened it up. So now you've got this perennial peanut getting a lot more sun. Get some big stumps of that pigeon pea there. And we'll probably just keep cutting these back and letting the roots die out and organic material that way. And then last but not least, this was the bed where we had the cover crop. So I cut the cover crop down, laid it down, and then put a thick bed of grass clippings on top of that. And ordinarily I'd really water that in, but we're supposed to get inches of rain this week, and so I'll let the rain do that work. Up here probably be tomatoes, eggplants, things like that along these various beds. And we still have a lot of work to do back on the other side up here. A lot of grass to dig out and clean up around our asparagus. So next weekend, hopefully, we'll get to that. But in the meantime, appreciate you checking this out. Let me know if you have any questions or comments in the comments section. And come back and see us for part 2 when we get this all prepped and ready for big growing season. Alright, until then, aloha from Mina Bear Farm.